Susan Moniz with Artisan Cookie Molds here. Now today I'm giving a little video tutorial on decorating my woolly lamb cookie that I made with the Artisan mold. Now we molded, baked, and cooled the cookies in the last video, and now we're set and ready to go. So here is a rundown of the supplies you'll need for this cookie project. The cookies, of course, in this case is a little lamb cookies, and paint. Now this paint, I used meringue powder as the base. I like using meringue powder because it's a good vehicle for the food coloring, and unlike raw liquid egg whites, which we used to use in the past, it's safe to consume. So that's usually my go-to, that or powdered egg whites. You can usually get meringue powder at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, Joann's, or online. And then, of course, food coloring. In this case, the palette is going to be springy, so we have like brighter colors, and to try to keep in that theme. And along with that, the sprinkles. So these are all, again, like springy and Easter colors to go with the look we're going for. And then, of course, paintbrushes and candy discs. These are candy melts that are often used in little molds to make candy with, but these are going to be used in a different way. So hold on, and I'll let you see that in a moment. Also, I like to put candy eyes in a lot of my little character molds. In this case, these are little candy balls, sugar pearls. This company, CK, has some good ones, but you can get them in other places as well. What you have to be careful of is they've got to be matte. If they're pearlized, they have that luster on them, they will melt in the oven, and you'll have really horrific looking creatures. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure they're nice and solid and they're matte. Or you can also buy pre-made candy eyes with the little iris already printed in there. So I think that is about what we need. Let me see. Yeah, I also have luster dust or pearl dust, or what else is it called? It's called a few different things. It's basically a metallic-y, sheeny powder. This is what it looks like. Wilton has a version of it as well, that you can get in all those same shops. You can put this on dry, and it gives it a nice sheen. Or add a liquid to it, and it would have to be an alcohol liquid, like a clear vanilla or a vodka or something like that. All that will burn off, evaporate, so you don't have to worry about alcohol being in your projects. But those add a nice little pop to the cookies as well, and I can show you where I use those. Alrighty, so here we have our molded, baked, and cooled cookies ready to be decorated. I'm keeping in the spring theme, so I am going with a nice bright color. I'm going to make this one yellow. So basically I'm taking my egg white or meringue paint that I've colored with a food coloring, and liberally brushing it on. I don't want any of the paint to be pooling for too long. You don't want a soggy cookie, but you want to make sure that it's in all these little nooks and crannies and all these swirls. That is part of the design of this particular mold. So, and be careful around the ears. If you need to switch out into using a smaller brush to get in those smaller areas, that's cool. Like right there. So we're doing a nice general brush of all the colors. Now the good thing about this is that any of these colors can be customized to fit whatever occasion you might want to use this for, like a baby shower. It can be gender specific if you like to do that kind of classic thing. Obviously this is Easter or spring. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now in this case I'm going to let it all dry, because I'm just going to put sprinkles around the outside edges. So if I added sprinkles to this right now, it would stick all over it, and that's a choice, but that's not what I'm going to do right now. You can see that I added the eyes in before I baked them. You can do that after if you'd like, but it just sits better if you put them in before they're baked, so they really kind of bake into it. And as I mentioned before, you've got to use the candy balls or the candy pearls that won't melt, because that would not be a good idea. Also, if you want, if you're into using royal icing, you can just make the royal icing eyes after as well. Just squirt the royal icing right into the cavity, this is what it looks like without the eyes, the candy pearl eyes put in. So they still have eyes, and you don't even have to put eyes in if you don't want to. But if you want, you can fill that in with royal icing and make your own eyes, or buy the eyes that are already pre-made and stick them on before or after baking. Okay, we're going to let this, while we're letting this dry, speaking of eyes, I'm using a food writer pen to fill in the irises of the eyeball. This is like the cheapest way you can make eyes. It's there. You can get those, the bottle of the sugar pearls, and they will last you for the longest time. I mean, there's a ton of them in there. You can also get them in big bags. So it's probably the cheapest way and the simplest way to have instant candy eyes. The other thing I'm going to do is, while it's drying, I'm going to put on a little bit of blush. This is the luster dust or the pearl dust, the petal dust. They go by all different names. And I like to use it dry when I'm using it for something like a little bit of blush, because it won't go on too dark that way. It's just like using regular blush. You brush it on the little cheeks, as dark as you want. Put a little bit on the nose. And I like to put a little bit in the ears, because these aren't things you have to do, but they're just add a little more depth to the decorating. All right, I'm gonna let that dry a little bit more. Oh, forgot to do the head, the bangs, I mean. Let's get the bangs. All right. I'm just gonna let this dry and get back to it in a moment. All right, so I decided I'm gonna add a little bit of a purple sprinkle trim on this one here, because that's very much a spring Easter combination, yellow and purple. So I'm just adding a little bit more of the color. You can add just the egg white if you want. It doesn't have to have color. Since you've already laid down some color, you don't have to add more. It just happens to be what I have here. So doing that. Here we go, before it's dry. I want to add a little along the edge. You have a little tray underneath you, or paper towel or something, so that you can use these sprinkles again for this cookie session. So you kind of just let it dry for a bit. I'm actually going to just make the little one all yellow. So I could have done this right away, but now I'm adding, since it's dried, I'm going to add a little bit more moisture to it and just do yellow sprinkles on this one. Little layering of colors, and I'm going to do it all over it. Very bright. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit for a bit. Another thing is, in all my paints, I added a little bit of sugar as well. I feel like it adds just a slight sheen to the final look, and it also seems to help the liquid not get absorbed too much into the cookie. It makes it a little bit sweeter too, since meringue or egg white don't have any real flavor. So yeah, so that's what I did with this time. All right, I'm going to let those sit a little bit longer and dry. All right, so these are pretty much dry. You can just get rid of the excess. Now he's very, very sparkly and jewelly. Very cute. This one here. And same thing. You just kind of take a brush and brush out the excess from the places you don't want it to live. There you go. Now I'm going to make the stands. There are a couple of ways of doing that. One of the ways, remember those candy melts I was telling you about? They melt really great in the microwave. They're a lot easier to work with than real chocolate. So you take one of those candy melts. You melt a few of them in the microwave for, I do like 20 seconds, and then another 5 or 10 if they haven't melted. Let them finish melting in the little dish. You can plop a little bit of it on here to make a glue. And then stick your little guy right on top and let it set somewhere. Other thing you can do, my stove is over here. I'm putting this utensil in the fire of my gas stovetop and heating it up for just a couple of, a few seconds, not too long. Heating it up. Got a couple of the candy melts there. I've taken it off the burner. I press it into the candy melt and it melts. Ooh, that one actually broke that time, but it's still fine. Need to heat up the other one. Press it in there. You see how it's melted? Then you take your lamb and you stick them on there like that. And again, if he needs to set a little bit, you put something behind him and he's good to go. And here they are, a full flock of sweet sheep. I hope you can see them. It's gotten a little dark in the last few minutes. But I tried a few different color combinations. Got a little blue and green and the pink on pink. And of course the yellow and the purple. And I have this white on white as well, which worked great for baby showers. So I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to see what you create, should you give it a try. Thanks for watching, and happy baking!